take good care, or she will scream down on your lust. She can please you like no other, or she can leave you eating dust. Daytona, shine your light on me. Burning passion, heat my day. Let me sit inside your wonder. Cloudless daydream, oh dance of dances. To have tamed the sound of thunder. Yeah. Daytona, shine your light on me. Daytona, shine your light on me. Shine your light on me. Yeah, yeah. Daytona, yeah, yeah. Oh, Daytona, yeah,
Daytona Beach is located on the east central coast of Florida. It's a medium-sized beachside community that caters primarily to family tourism. But 3 times during the early part of each year, something happens in Daytona. Automobile races, spring break, and of course, Bike Week. Hi, I'm Wayne Crane. I'm one of the producers of this Daytona 50th Anniversary Special program. We're standing here on Main Street in Daytona Beach, Florida on a sunny March day in 1991. Around me there are 40,000 motorcycles, riding, parked, people having a good time. Across this piece of pavement here, over 200,000 motorcycles are expected to ride during Bike Week.
Welcome to Daytona Beach.
$25 for a cold beer. How's Alley Pub? Come on back. You 2 ladies, we need you back here.
How about this big striping? Get this done.
actually it's almost like party time. It's like a giant reunion, because most of these bikers always hit different shows throughout the country, and it just seems like when they get down here, it's like, hey, I haven't seen you for a year. It's almost like a big party of a reunion.
I'm a real wild one, wild one, wild one, wild one.
Bike Week in Daytona Beach has a tendency to bring together a lot of old friends, people that haven't seen each other perhaps in a long time. We have with us today one of the guys who was around here way back when Bike Week actually started in Daytona, Ed Kretz Sr. Ed, how you doing this morning?
Real good, thank you. 1937, yeah, that was my first year here. In fact, it was the first year here for the races down here. And I had won it that year.
So you actually started the race and you won the race?
That's right. I could tell you about the beach, how it was when they had to stand behind the second stands. I had to come up behind in the deep stand to finish the race, because they started the tide when the tide was way down, and the tide got in before we finished the race. So we was running clear up in the deep sand.
So it was either that or try to get through the water.
Yeah, you had to go through water in it, but I didn't want the water, so I stayed up in the deep sand and plowed through it because it was really deep at that time when it got up in the side where the cars parked.
Here, the course consists of a 2-mile straight along the famous beach and a parallel straight along a metalled road. The straights are joined at the end by banked corners where riders slide their machines and where also most of the spills happen.
Well, they had, probably at that time, they had 30 or 40,000 people, and they all lined up right down the beach from this north turn here to the south turn. And they were, well, they could stand it like a grandstand, or they could sit there on the sand, and they could watch it there. And then a lot of the people would run across to watch us go down the backstretch, back in the backside there.
We're at a little place called the North Turn, which is right exactly where the North Turn was on the racetrack, isn't it?
Right there, yes. The North Turn was right here. They had in the old track, they had a few houses. In fact, I used a garage on the backstretch for my motorcycle and my parts and my trailer, but we went right by that garage on the backstretch. And it was only 16 foot wide, and it was very rough. And it had 3 turns, S-turns, and you come through some of them on the way down here now, but they're straightened out, you know, there's not an S-turn. It was a real S-turn, and I was probably the only guy that ever run through them all wide open. Ted Edwards one time, or Teddy Evans asked me, he said, how can you run wide open down there? And I said, if you fall off at 110, it's not going to make any difference if you do it at 90. So he said that taught me, and I said I could finally ride it wide open too.
But to race 200 miles on the beach with a hardtail, and a girder fork, and a tank shift, and with the trauma to your body, your kidneys, and with the sand in your face, and the salt, and the wind, and the changing conditions, that they were extraordinary people. And the people now that race the 200, I don't want to call them wimps, but they've got suspensions and handling. And most of these old Indians and Harleys had built-in wobbles from the factory. Amazing.
The number of people buying, restoring, riding, showing, and racing vintage motorcycles is growing every year. As a matter of fact, the percentage of growth is greater than the people that are actually buying new motorcycles. Here on a blustery day at Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach on the 50th anniversary of Bike Week, we're seeing some real vintage motorcycle racing.
The essence of what we do is try to keep alive the sights and sounds and smells, to some extent, of what we call the golden age of motorcycles. And it seems to me that the golden age of motorcycles is any motorcycle that was made about 25 years ago. So certainly in 25 years we'll be looking at machines manufactured today and say, that's a vintage motorcycle. We're an organisation to a large extent which is based on and around nostalgia. And everything looks better as we look backwards in life. And so we tend to look through rose-coloured spectacles at the things that happened in our youth and feel that it was a simpler, happier, more comfortable time. And now I guess we try to recreate that simpler, happier, more colourful time. And so the organisation is to ensure that examples of wonderful machinery are restored right back to running order, and that they don't live in a museum, that they don't sit statically, that they're actually seen out on the racetrack looking, sounding and smelling just the way that they ever did.
horseshoe, but Stansel is not giving up. Look at this late charge into the horseshoe. He puts his foot out, gets it sideways on the entrance, losing a lot of ground to the outside. Boy, Pat, he was trying hard there to catch Samuelson, but Stansel just getting all kind of out of shape. We'll run across the stripe in second. Then we'll go to number 58, Norm Nelson, and Nancy of number 47 machine followed.
At the Volusia County Fairgrounds, we meet up with some vintage bikes of a slightly different flavor. They're called rat bikes, and we're here at the first annual Daytona Rat Nationals. It's hard to explain exactly what a rat bike is, and there really are no rules, except that you must be able to ride them. Oh, and we noticed that most of them seem to have the carcass of a dead rodent attached somewhere to the bike. You know, looking at these bikes, you gotta wonder, what type of a person would ride such a contraption?
Just like back in October 1969, I paid $125 off the Birmingham, Alabama Police Department. You know, I mean, man, my hair was short, my beard, I couldn't even grow a beard then. I was 25, you know. But after I bought this Harley-Davidson, man, the hair popped out, the beard popped out, the job went to hell. I've been through 5 wives. They won't leave me alone, you know. Built this engine here for it in 73, you know. I mean, it's got a 51 left-hand side. It's got a 65 right-hand side and a 72 shovel top in. I found this Weber carburetor off of Alfa Romero when I worked on Volkswagen.
Just happened to find it.
Yeah. He had 3 of them on there. He didn't need it, you know. Put my 600 by 15-inch Volkswagen. I got me a brand new tire. I ran recap for many years, you know.
The creativity these guys show with their arrangement of junk on these bikes is truly amazing. Smitty won a trip to Germany last year to show off his rat bike at the Essen Bike Show. Rat bike aficionados take their junk seriously, and some of the things hanging on these bikes are actually worth some money.
Yeah, I thought, well, I think they'd probably go on. What'd you do with your Evil Knievel toolbox, Smitty?
I took it out for the company.
You traded it?
For the motor company.
Ah, man, you didn't trade that, did you really, Bob?
No, I bought that.
Nah, man, well, what'd you do with the Evil Knievel one?
Set it up on the shelf.
Saving it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's good, Bob, that's good.
Who knows you gonna put rings in? Maybe later.
You gonna put a ring in somebody, man? Let me see. You again. I bet your eyes.
The vintage rides here at the Daytona Armory are about to be auctioned off by Jerry Wood, a well-known auctioneer of classic two-wheelers. His job is to get the highest price possible for these bikes. And of course, the collector wants to steal a bike or two, and that starts a game interesting to watch.
Slow down and I'll tell you about this bike. It was created in '55, it was shipped to the USA in 1969, and not uncrated until 1989. The machine has not been ridden since 1945. This 1934 motorcycle's been stored since '45 and taken out of the box. A pretty little bike. How much have I bid for it? We'll say $5,000 for a little Royal Enfield. $5,000 where for? Well, what do you want to start at? Give me a couple thousand and go, somebody. Give me a couple thousand. Let's just go. A couple thousand and go where? What? To 1,000. I got now 1,500. Would you go? 1,500. I got now 2,000. Now 2,000 if you want a 2,000. 2,000. 1,500 all bid now 2,000. Nothing. No money at all for the bike.
I think the collectors don't ride them, but people like myself, real bike enthusiasts, we ride them. You know, since I have anything, I'm gonna ride it. And when I was a kid, I always wanted a Gold Star, so.
Yes, 31 and a half, 31 and a half, 31 and a half, 31 and a half, yes or no? 31 and a half, yes or no? Any more? Sold it, right up there to $3,100. I got 500. Who goes 750? 750. I got now 1,000. Now for a real Gold Star, 1,000 where? 1,000 where? I got 1,000. I got now 1,250. Now 1,250. 1,250. 1,000 is bid now 1,250. 1,000 is bid now 1,250. 1,250. 46. 47. 47. 47. I'm almost done fooling around. 47. 46 now. 47. Any more? Sold it. $4,600 back there in the green hat.
You know, most of them like this, that's just going to appreciate no matter matter who owns it. They're getting very rare.
Inside every man is a little boy trying to get out. And hence, yeah, are we a bunch of kids with a lot of toys? Of course we are. And we enjoy it. And almost any man that I have spoken with, when I discuss the organisation, I can tell you that 8 men out of 10 from whatever walk of life will tell me that they either owned a motorcycle. I'm talking about mature people, of course. They either owned a motorcycle or they wanted to own a motorcycle. And so that's 8 out of 10 men who say riding a motorcycle was either something I wanted to do when I was young or that I did do when I was young, and I'd like to do it again because it was some of the best fun that I ever had. And that's what vintage motorcycling is about. It's about having fun, it's about restoring an old motorcycle, and it's about recreating those exciting moments in the past.
And here's the man who makes the machines today which last long enough to become the collector's editions of tomorrow. Willie G. Davidson has long been the driving force behind the styling and engineering of factory stock Harley-Davidsons.
Well, I am very active in the design of all of our products, as you well know, and I have a good team of people, and we all work together on them. It's a team effort that I think works real well because all of us ride and we're close to our customer, and that really makes sense. It's just so obvious what you should do. You have a feeling, and being here is important, and that's why it all works.
When it came to the 50th anniversary of Daytona, we had a tremendous amount of phone calls, letters, correspondence, especially after introducing the Dynaglide Sturgis, commemorating the 50th anniversary of Sturgis, which is off on my left. And the people said, okay, what are you going to do for Daytona? Harley-Davidson typically does not let an anniversary or birthday go by without commemorating it somehow. And they said, what are you going to do for Daytona? Well, we were in a real bind. All of our motorcycles are sold for 1991. Now what are we going to do? Tell a dealer that he's got to cancel some of his customer orders because we came out with this special that he didn't know about? Well, after some late night thought, we came up with a concept that says, how about if we show them the 1992 Dyna Daytona down in Daytona? The dealers can start to take orders for it, the customers can get excited about it, and we're going to put it on the brand new Dynaglide chassis. So now if I can have some help from somebody, here we are, Steve and Bill, to pull the cover off. This is the 1992 Harley-Davidson Dyna Daytona. This particular motorcycle as a 92 is being introduced right now, but it will not be available for shipment until August and September. It is built as a 92 on the new Dynaglide chassis. It'll be limited production. There will be only 1,700 of them built worldwide. Every dealer is going to get an allocation of these motorcycles, and the dealers, by the way, just heard about it either yesterday or they're hearing about it today, because I know that there are going to be a lot of customers that are going to see this motorcycle, and just like the Dyna Sturgis, they're going to go right to the telephone and call their local dealer and put their name on one.
And here's the testing ground for Harley, on the streets of places like Daytona. Harley riders are not a bashful type. If they don't like something, they'll tell you. But out here on Main Street, you won't hear many negative comments about the great American ride of Harley-Davidson.
What can you see down here?
Girls, just everything.
I noticed that you put it in the order of bikes first.
That's right. That's number one thing, Harley-Davidson. Number one here, Harley rules.
Dan, do you ride?
Oh, yes, sir. This is my bike right here.
What is that, a Gold Wing?
No, Gold Wing. I don't even know if I should justify that with a comment. That's a Harley full dress, FLH.
I like to ride. You know, it makes me feel nice and free. Can't get that feeling driving around in a car. You can't feel that wind in your face. In the wind, as they say.
Shortly after speaking with Peter, we came across this guy riding his famous Captain America bike from the movie Easy Rider. Or was it merely a cheap imitation? we decided to find out for ourselves. After some investigation, we found the real Captain America bike here at Finke's Pub, Beachside in Daytona.
Now, tell us about it.
This is the Captain America bike from the Easy Rider movie, filmed in the late 60s with Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper and Jack Nicholson. This particular bike was abandoned in a wood pile by one of the movie stars, by Dennis Hopper. I picked it up in 1978 when Dennis was particularly down and out and lost.
So what possessed you to buy something like this?
I was a movie freak at the time, and it was one of my favorite movies. I have a partner in it who saw it as something that would make us a lot of money in a few years, as being the most famous bike on the face of the earth.
Has it made you famous yet?
It's not made me famous. I've ended up arguing with a lot of people that it really is the real one and not a replica or a duplicate. I've had my 15 minutes of fame out of it, and I've enjoyed it.
What are you going to do with the bike?
I have the bike up for sale right now. I hope somebody that can appreciate it will enjoy it. It needs to go somewhere where a collector will look at it every day. Right now, all I can do is take it out once in a while, and the rest of the time it sits in storage. It's not doing it any good.
Dee, if I wanted to buy the bike from you, how much would it cost me?
I'm asking $150,000.
$150,000 what? Would you take 149?
Probably.
This continues a tradition that has been with us for the last 20 years of ZZ Top's existence, and I think that it's fair to say that these are well representative of how we feel about what we like to do.
Billy is talking about Cadzilla and Hogzilla, his specially built Cadillac and Harley that became the talk of this year's Bike Week.
As far as the design, concept of design goes, it happened pretty much with Mr. Gibbons and myself. Billy, that's the owner. The whole car, the whole identity of the car, and the motorcycles came out of really the music and that sort of bad sound to it, you know. So he had brought up the issue of doing a custom Harley. Custom Cadillac originally, and when that came together, he said, well, what would you start with? So there's a particular model, which is this one. It's a Series 62 seatnet. And that's what we started with, and then we just sort of took it that extra layer, you know. A lot of what's in it, as far as the design evolution, is based on what they wanted to do the first time. You know, everybody, when you design a car, everybody likes to be real low down and look real sneaky, but the reality is that most people have to sit upright in their car and you have to get in the back seat. With this one, we had a little more license to do the bad thing. So the car was driven pretty much by the music and by all those things folded together. And then the bikes just came as a byproduct of that. At the same time, because there were Harleys, there was a lot of heritage there, there was a lot of other things involved. So we tried to fold it together without getting too messed up. It came out pretty good.
It's the biggest single bike-related event of the year, and not only are we happy to be part of it, but we feel that this year might be one of the outstanding events because of the 50th anniversary of Bike Week here. So perhaps we ought to go to the beach and check it out.
to have tamed the sound of thunder. Yeah. Daytona. Shine your light on me. Daytona. Shine your light on me.
Well, you've heard of ring wrestling, mud wrestling. We've even heard of oatmeal wrestling. But today, all of these people are here to see something completely different. Coleslaw wrestling. And where are you going to find coleslaw wrestling at Daytona Bike Week? Where else but Zapotnik's Cabbage Patch.
Adding to the extreme excitement of the coleslaw wrestling was this brave peace officer who came into the enemy camp to instill some peace, or something. We never did find out exactly what he accomplished, because as the crowd got ugly and the beer cans began to fly, he decided to let the girls do their thing, and soon we were back watching the main event.
Like this is okay? All right, you're wrestling. All right, let's bring the first girl up there. You're the next girl. Come on, Marty. Where's Alicia?
And you were there.
Where's Alicia?
We caught up with Daytona Beach Police Chief Paul Crow, who has been called on many occasions the man who saved Bike Week. The police have played an important role in the history of Bike Week, for better or for worse. So we wanted to ask Chief Crow some questions about Bike Week that many bikers seem to want to know the answers to.
It almost sounds then like between the three crowds that you mentioned earlier, the race crowd, the spring break crowd, and the biker crowd, that your problems with the biker crowd really are awfully low.
Biker crowd presents the least amount of threat or problem that we have out of the events. It's an older group, no pun intended. It's an older group, it's a wiser group that is here to participate and understands English, and that makes a big difference.
I've got another question. We hear all the time, why don't they block off Main Street like they do in Sturgis? What's your reaction to that?
That's a question that's been posed to us many, many times. Unlike Sturgis, we have no secondary roads or alleyways behind those businesses to really give us a fire lane, if you will, or a safety lane. And the only access road you have is Main Street itself. So that rather eliminates the possibility of getting that just for motorcycles only, and you get the crowd congested. We have no way of really providing services to those business people for fire protection or health protection. So we have to keep the highway. Even in Bike Week, though, we limit it to just motorcycles. But we don't allow any cars to park on Main Street during that Bike Week period, only during a certain time period. But each year we try to be a little bit more flexible, but I think the idea of motorcycles only will never come into play, seriously, simply because we don't have the the fire lanes behind those businesses or alleyways as you have in other cities.
Are we having fun yet? I love you, man.
Despite all the good-natured fun almost everyone has at Bike Week, there's always someone who just doesn't seem to have a clue. And naturally, this someone was a cop.
Yep. Oh, I don't mind the bikes. I just can't stand the damn noise they put out when it's not necessary. You know, most of these damn Harleys are as quiet as the Jap bikes if you put the proper muffler on them.
Yeah, they don't want it. You know, they want the loud. That's the point.
It's worth $32 to us.
He just doesn't seem to understand that loud pipes save lives.
No, this is a Rolls-Royce Merlin Spitfire engine out of it's a V12. Cylinders 3 and 6. Okay, cut down, packed in and put right in. There's not much, pretty basic ingenuity. It's gasoline powered, 92 octane we're running. Gets about 30 miles a gallon at 100 miles an hour. Chevrolet ain't been able to do it yet, have they?
And we're sitting here at the patio of Froggy's Saloon with Ray Gold. Ray, how did the week go?
Very, very well, thank you. We did about 30% more than last year. It was incredible. We had wall-to-wall people.
Well, you notice we noticed there was always a lot of people here. Ray, how many cans of beer do you go through on a bike week like this?
Oh, about 4,000 to 5,000 cases, whatever that amounts to.
So that's 4,000 or 5,000 times 24.
Yes, sir.
That's a whole bunch of beer.
Yes, sir.
Now, where do these guys go when they're done with the beer?
Probably to bed. Where do they go afterwards? To go to the bathroom, probably.
One of the most exciting events that takes place during Daytona Bike Week every year isn't even held in Daytona. It's held somewhere out here in the boondocks east of Orlando at a place called Orlando Speed World. We're here today to take a look at the Daytona Harley National Drags.
Now what we're looking at is B fuel bikes now. We had 4 A fuelers, one of them broke in the pit area, one of them's broke. Had 3 of them go down. Now we're looking at the B fuel machines. The B fuel machines are the nitro carbureted machines that have no transmission to them, no transmission. They have in them what they call a jack shaft. They're hooked up to a slipper clutch. When that clutch closes from centrifugal force, sort of like a go-kart clutch, it starts applying power to one end of that shaft. The other end of the shaft, there's a gear that's chained right to the back wheel, and that's where the power goes. There's no transmission in these things. That's what they call a single gear run. Now watch the ETs and the miles per hour on this stuff. And it's only one gear, direct drive. That's all they're doing. Once again, we're looking for those top fuelers, please. A fuelers, B fuelers in the staging. Top Gas Pro Stock right behind him. We see Pete Hill out there. We see the double right next to him. We're all set on that one. We might see, we need Larry Stanley out there now. We got 2 doubles and a blower bike. Top fuel. What we're doing today, if you're looking at what we're doing today on this thing here, we're having what we call just a single day regional meet. And that is just an invitational meet for people from all over the country. This is not a points meet. It's something that we just put together for fun. Last year we did a points meet out here. We had a tremendous amount of motorcycles and turnout. We just can't fairly do a points meet in less than about 18 to 20 hours. And we can't get that in one day. And because this is Daytona, we just did not want to interfere. We didn't want to interfere with the rest of the activities going on. We're stepping on some races right now. So what we're doing today is just a one-day meet. That's all we're doing, a one-day meet, and not points meet. Gentlemen, you got to excuse me for a minute. Yeah. There's a whole lot of new machines out there today, guys. You're asking me the new bike that we're looking out there. Yeah, there's a whole lot. In the first race like this, not being a points meet, lets these guys shake them out a little bit more thorough. What they're doing out here is probably trying stuff with the new machine they wouldn't try at a points meet. And it really makes no difference if you win or lose this one. It's a matter of prestige winning this one. It's not a matter of points today. So there's a bunch of brand new machinery, and all these guys are pretty happy because they're getting to shake them out today, something they wouldn't do in a points meet. In a points meet, you do all your tried and proven things and not all the experimental stuff, because you don't want to blow it on the experimental stuff. Today we're seeing a lot of experimental things, having a pretty good time.
This is top fuel racer Pete Hill, a very young 60-year-old who is the perennial winner in his class. The top fuelers can run just about anything they want as long as it's safe. Pete has a blower on this bike which came off of a tank, as in Sherman tank.
We've seen a lot of different things this year's Bike Week in Daytona Beach, but we have someone here who says we'd better not call her Miss Piggy. What is your name?
My name is Madam Oink.
Madam Oink. How did you get that name?
Well, I train and race pigs. Not raise pigs, race pigs.
You mean you try to run faster than the pigs run?
No way.
No.
You got to get out of their way. They know exactly what they're doing.
They race against each other?
Yes, they do.
Ah.
You see, the pigs run for something. They don't chase anything, and you don't have to have anybody on their back. They're so smart. We place one Oreo cookie at the finish line. The winner knows there's only one Oreo. So they get competitive real quick. They learn real fast. The inside track's the fastest way around, and by gosh, they go. The winner gets an Oreo, and the losers get the crumbs. So goes life.
And it is number one, the winner. Sir, you're a winner. Come right over here. We have a 5 minutes, and now here we are on the hour. We will thank you very much.
We saw some pretty crazy things at Bike Week this year, but probably the craziest thing we saw all week long was the Motorcycle Demolition Derby. Now, when we saw this thing advertised, we asked ourselves, what could they possibly do at a motorcycle demolition derby? Surely they wouldn't just run into each other like cars do, would they? After a Jap bike has gone through a demolition derby, what do you do with it to show it the respect it deserves for long months of faithful service?
About your ride back there. What was it like?
Oh, great. If it was any better, we'd have to take pills for it.
Did you have fun?
A lot of fun.
One of the long-standing institutions of Bike Week is the Alligator Enduro. It proves that a short ride back into the swamps of eastern Florida can be not only exhausting and muddy, but also a heck of a lot of fun.
You've had a chopper show now here for how many years?
This year was our 19th year for a chopper show. Back in the old days, we had a number of people who wanted to make better relations in the city, to let people know that the bikers aren't all bad bikers like they want to put them. And so we started the show, and we were lucky to have the first show on the back parking lot over at the A&P.
Carl, I've been coming to your chopper shows for almost 15 years myself now, and for the last several years it seems that there's been an awful lot of rain, both here and at Sturgis on your chopper show. Why is that?
Well, we do have a lot of rain. Sometimes I think there's a voodoo doll that's under a kitchen sink on my rain day, but even up in Sturgis we've been getting rain. But when you see the bikes that are out there and you see the people still coming out in rain like that, it shows they're dedicated to see some of the nicest bikes in the world.
Two wheels a turning, one girl a yearning, big motor burning the road. I'll ride the highway, I'm going my way, I leave a story untold. Pretty girls behind me, but pretty girls are everywhere. Big motor wind up right on away from here. Right away. She won't approve of things I do or what I am, and I don't really give a I understand, but she'll never see that I'll never be anyone but me. She thinks she needs me, she cries for me, but I know she's lying, crying for others to see. What can I say? I'll just ride away. Big motor run, run, right on away from heartache and misery. I'm bound to wander way over yonder. Someone may wait just for me.